We'll go on to Dr. Manoj Mathur to speak on the impact of NMC regulations.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Nirmal Frederick, I just want to give an update that tomorrow we'll be having a general body meeting, and at the managing committee level, we have decided to implead ourselves in the Supreme Court observation case, the PIL 680 that is filed in 2020 with the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court gave a deadline of 1 month to the hospital, to the central government. In fact, they were directed a decade back to negotiate and finalize range of rates, not a not a package of rate. The Supreme Court had advised the government, central government, to be in discussion with the state governments and formulate a range of price line for the different types of procedures, but it was not followed and it was kept in abeyance. So the central government, the Supreme Court gave a directive to the central government that within a month's time, if you don't give us the range, we will give an interim direction to the central government to impose CGHS rates across the spectrum of healthcare industry, which is going to be a death knell for the private practice. It is going to be a death knell for the health industry. So that is the state of affairs. So since the Supreme Court has taken the example of cataract surgery range between 10,000 to 1,20,000, specifically AIOS in its wisdom, we felt we had subcommittee meetings, and then we decided to implead ourselves to apprise the Supreme Court as to why this range of 10,000 to 1,20,000 for cataract surgery. That decision we have taken. Tomorrow we'll be presenting it to the general body and moving ahead with that. So one more important thing that arose last year was this NMC guideline. So this NMC guideline, what was the impact that we would have faced if those NMC guidelines were not kept in abeyance, and if they are implemented again?
You don't have slides.
I have.
You want to see your slide is now.
Okay. Put my slide there. Okay. Yeah. So I shall be speaking about the impact of NMC regulations kept in abeyance as of now. If implemented again, what are the things that we are going to face, or what we can easily rectify and follow these guidelines. So the government of India, by this Gazette of India, notified this new NMC guidelines on the 2nd of August 2023, but this stated that National Commission Registered Medical Practitioner 2023 are hereby held in abeyance with immediate effect. This happened after hue and cry by the health industry. More so, this was kept into abeyance when the pharma industry met the health minister. So that was the impact. With that, we need to gauge as to what is our clout with the government. We are soft targets. The moment pharma industry intervened in this process, immediately the Gazette was kept in abeyance. So what are these changes? The NMC guidelines, they said, Indian Medical Council Professional Conduct Etiquette and Ethics Rules 2002, and how they are going to be changed if these rules come into effect again. The display of registration numbers. Every physician shall display the registration number accorded to him by the State Medical Council or the MCI in his clinic, and in all his prescription certificates, money receipts given to the patients. Now this is sought to be changed, that the NMC will give a unique identified number all over the country assigned to him, her by the Ethics and Medical Registration Board. There will be one Ethics and Medical Registration Board, and this number, unique identification number, will be allotted to each practitioner, which is not an unwelcome move, I feel. Like instead of the State Medical Council number, the state councils giving you a certain number, at the national level, if we get a unique identification number, should not be a problem for us. Number two, the degrees that need to be displayed on your letterhead. Earlier we could use all these abbreviations. So now the RMP, with the new regulation, RMP shall display as suffix his, her name only the NMC recognized and accredited medical degrees or diplomas. The RMP shall not claim to be a clinical specialist unless he or she has NMC recognized training and qualification in that specific branch. So like if I have FACO, if I have MAMS, I have to convert my letterhead this way. Only the recognized degree under my name followed by what all you want to write about yourself on your letterhead. The use of generic names of drug. So as of now, every patient should, as far as possible, this was the thing, as far as possible, prescribe drugs with generic names, and she shall ensure that there is a rational prescription and use of drug. Was changed to mandatory prescription of generic drug or non-proprietary pharmaceutical names only. Your prescription should have a generic and pharmacological name / you can suggest your brand. That is what we understood by this regulation, and especially so this was applicable to branded generic drugs, which are like it is a non-proprietary drug but branded by the companies. So there was a distinction given between a patent drug, a generic drug, and a branded generic drug. Then this is what, like every RMP should prescribe. The remedy is that the RMP should start using the electronic media. Here, if you want to write one name, you cannot write Brevex or you cannot write Simbrinza. You have to write brimonidine, the oblique brinzolamide combination, like that. So for that, how can you have to spend equal time as you spend to examine your patient to write your prescription. So the thing is, every RMP needs to shift to the electronic media with all these regulations. And the relevant record has to be fed, and with the name, qualification, and your unique ID. And you have to enter the generic name, the dosage, the period for which it should be taken, and then below it, you can write the brand name of the drug if required. Just imagine you are prescribing a multivitamin drug. What all you are going to write in your prescription. So, number 4, running an open shop or dispensing of drug and appliances by the physician. In the 2002 regulations, which are in vogue as of today, after the new NMC regulations were kept in abeyance, should not run an open shop for sale of medicine for dispensing prescription prescribed by the doctors other than himself or for the sake of medical and surgical procedures. What a doctor can have his own medical dispensation in his own clinic. We had an instant in our state. The face of the pharmacy should not be facing the roadside. That is, it should be facing your chamber. Your patient with your prescription can get your drug prescription dispensed from your pharmacy, but a patient outside was not expected to walk into your clinic and purchase the medication. That is what was implied. And here now, the new regulations also are something similar. RMP can sell medicines prescribed by RMPs other than himself for the sale of medical or surgical appliances. RMP is allowed to sell medication only to his or her own patients. And drugs prescribed by the RMP or bought from the pharmacy for the patient should explicitly state the generic name of the drug. So the emphasis on generic name is given. Now, in dealing with the pharmaceutical and allied health industries, the question of gifts, this is the main clause which is going to impact the medical profession. Now let me read this in detail. Gifts. A medical practitioner shall not receive any gift from any pharmaceutical or allied healthcare industry. Travel facilities. A medical practitioner shall not accept any travel facility inside the country or outside for vacation or for attending conferences, seminars, workshops, CME programs, etc. as a delegate. It is still existing. Are we following? Hospitality. A medical practitioner shall not accept individually any hospitality like hotel accommodation for self or family members. And cash or monetary grants. A medical practitioner shall not receive any cash or monetary grants from any pharmaceutical or allied healthcare industry for individual purpose in individual capacity. This is in vogue, but we know what is in vogue. Now, what is sought to be implemented with the new NMC regulation is RMPs and their families must not receive any gifts, travel facilities, hospitality, cash or monetary grants from pharmaceutical companies or their representatives, commercial healthcare establishments, medical device companies or corporate hospitals. This is so far so good. Also, RMP should not be involved in any third-party educational activity like continuous CPDs, the CMEs, what we are used to calling. Professional development, this is continuous professional development, seminar, workshop, symposia, conference, etc., which involves direct or indirect sponsorships. A company can't hold its own CME on its own, which involves direct or indirect sponsorship from a pharmaceutical company or the allied health sector. We, as an organization, we sought a clarification on this as to what is our conference going to be? Direct or indirect sponsorship. They are not supposed to sponsor your food. They are not supposed to even indirectly sponsor a CME. So what is it implies? It implies that the registered society, like AIOS is a registered society, this society is governed by Societies Regulation Act and not by the NMC. That way, a company can give sponsorship, can give a education grant, can give anything to a organization, but cannot indirectly sponsor or directly. It can't be a future XYZ company symposium, XYZ company CME, but the company can provide a grant or a aid to an organization like AIOS or like the State Ophthalmological Society. AIOS has the right to conduct a trade exhibition. For that, you are providing a space for the product demonstration. Something which I felt similar when there was a controversy about the life surgery recently. When you are providing legally a space for the company to demonstrate their equipment physically, what's wrong in that company giving a live demonstration of their instrument through a live surgery? That is a point to be debated. Like the records, the existing standards, they say physical documentation of all indoor patients for at least 3 years. The records need to be submitted within 72 years when needed by the patient or relevant authorities, and shall maintain a register of medical certificates issued. Whatever medical certificates you issue, this is the thing. And now, this has been changed to conversion of record in electronic media. Through the new NMC guidelines, the emphasis on electronic media is there. Efforts shall be made to computerize patients' medical records for quick retrieval and scrutiny. And within 3 years from the date of publication of these regulations, every practitioner has to convert to an electronic records. That is in store for us. Whenever these guidelines come into within 3 years, we all need to enhance our clinical setups with the electronic medical records. What is suggested for the medico-legal purposes, apart from record saving in your computer, see that every paper going out of your hospital to the patient should be scanned and saved in your computer to avoid any disputes. No doubt you are preserving the patient's data in your system, but what all documents you are giving a printout to the patient, it is always better to save that record in a separate folder for each patient to be to avoid future disputes. The consultation fee. The physician engaged in practice of medicine shall give priority to the interests of the patient. The personal financial interests of a physician should not conflict with the medical interests of the patients. A physician should announce his fees before rendering service and not after operation or treatment is underway. It is unethical to enter into a contract of no cure, no payment. These are the existing guidelines. What are the things that are supposed to be implemented if these new regulations come? RMP who attends on the patient will be fully accountable for his or her actions and entitled to appropriate fee. So this saving grace, the consultant is given the right to charge appropriate fee. RMP can refuse to treat or continue to treat a patient if the fee as indicated is not paid. This is another saving grace for the patient. But in case of abusive, unruly and violent patients or relatives, the RMP can document and report the behavior and refuse to treat the patient. This again, if it is implemented, is okay for us. Like it is a saving grace for us. With the patient, the right to consultation is not with the patient. The right to treat is with the physician. Rebates and commission, again, not much of a difference. An RMP shall not directly or indirectly participate in any act of division, transfer, assignment, subordination, rebating. There is a word change, but what is existing is sought to be continued with the new NMC guidelines. Advertisement norms. the medical practitioner as on now is permitted, howsoever permitted, to make a formal announcement in press regarding the following. On starting practice, you are entitled to an ad. On change and type of practice, on changing, Acha, Aarti has come. Okay, so I'll wind up another 2 slides. Okay, on temporary absence of duty, you can inform your patients, but all that is now given a certain sort of a leeway. You can advertise your practice to a certain extent in the new NMC guidelines. And last but not the least, that point number 10 is the social media or publicity. These are the guidelines. For the paucity of time, I would like to just say, I would like to read the last point. RMP should not post patients' photograph or scan images or CT or PET scan on the social media. A very important thing. Live surgeries, live transmissions on social media. Once an image is posted on the social media, it becomes data that is owned by the social media company and the general public, and it is no longer considered private. So endorsements, again, prohibition of endorsement. You are not supposed to give endorsement for products in the social media or advertisement. Thank you very much for your patience.